Win big in 2024 with RotoBaller.com's MLB Premium Pass. It includes our preseason draft kit, 15 exclusive lineup tools, and the Team Sync platform. Get customized rankings for your specific league format. Sync your leagues with Team Sync and use our new live draft assistant. Then get customized advice for your scoring settings. Get a discount for any MLB Premium Pass using my promo code Knuckler. Just visit rotoballer.com, sign up today, and start rotoballing like a boss. This podcast is also brought to you by Parlay Play Fantasy Sports. Use my referral code RotoBrady. Get that deposit bonus. They got free contests, paid contests coming to a state near you. Check it out. That's a real fun platform. And what is up, everybody? This is Brady Grove bringing you another interlude episode of RotoBaller's official MMA podcast. Tap that. We got the UFC this week and a bunch of other events. Follow me on Twitter at RotoBrady for picks on all major MMA events, regional events, major boxing matches. Follow me on Twitter at RotoBrady. Follow the podcast at Tap That MMA Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify.
All three judges see the bout 49 to 42. Your winner by unanimous decision, Agnesa, Spitfire, Kirakosian.
With me today, she is 6-1 as a professional boxer, including bare knuckle. Now has 2 wins under the BYB Extreme Fight Series banner dating back to March of last year. She is fighting for the championship against Shelby Cannon on April 4th at BYB 25 Brawl on the Bay. Give it up for Agnesa, Spitfire, Kirakosian. Agnesa, thank you so much for being here. How's it going?
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's going good. Just training, it's going great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing quite fine. I watched, as much of your fighting over the last few days since this got set up as I could. And, the first thing first, I want to know what actually got you into bare knuckle, because your boxing is so clean and technically pretty to look at that it's a contrast to what you see in a lot of bare knuckle, where it's a lot of people who make transitions over from MMA or from other disciplines. So, folks, if you don't know, Agnesa also at one point was the American Boxing Federation Intercontinental Bantamweight Champion. So what got you into bare knuckle after starting off in traditional boxing?
Well, basically, I give credits to my coach because he was already a bare knuckle coach. He always had that in mind for me. But I mean, I didn't see it like that because I thought it was like a dangerous sport. I didn't look at that. But then it was really hard to get fights after we got the belt, and it was just so hard to match up fights in boxing. And then I was just like, what the heck, man? Fighting's fighting. I want to fight, and I don't care if it's gloves or not. Like, I want to get in that ring or trigon, so let's go. So that's why I started doing bare knuckle, and it's just fun. It's like we're the ultimate like modern day gladiators. It's like there's nothing like punching someone without gloves on, and just like that sound and everything. It feels good. It's fun. Cool.
And that's interesting, because bare knuckle, as far as, and compared to the other combat sports, it hasn't been around for as long. And it took, a lot of people some time to kind of get used to it, especially people that, weren't even MMA fans. And now they see that there's bare knuckle boxing. It catches a lot of people, by surprise. And it's interesting that you said that, like, one of the reasons is like, it was hard getting the right fight in boxing. And so do you think that that's something that more boxers moving forward are going to try to look to do because it can be so, political or difficult to get the right fight for you?
Yeah, pretty much. I think so. If they're ballsy enough, they'll do it.
Well, so because I haven't had a ton of bare knuckle fighters on the show, so if you could take this moment to educate the public on some of the safety aspects and why, if they came in with a negative attitude towards bare knuckle boxing, they are wrong.
Well, I mean, like it's kind of. I feel like you can get hit harder with a glove on than you can with bare knuckles. Both are dangerous. Don't get me wrong. But it's kind of like more superficial. Like it's not gonna go like towards the brain. It's more like, yeah, you're gonna get swellings and stuff like that, but it's gonna go away in like a week. Whereas like a boxer could get hit super hard in the brain and get a concussion, and nobody will even know until later on when it's too late. So I guess that's what I would say. Like if you put on a glove and you punch the wall, you can hit as hard as you want, right? But if you just punch the wall as hard, you can't hit as hard. You know, you're gonna hurt your hand. So unless if they're breaking their hand on you or something like that, then I think it's a little bit more safer than people think, because there are more knockouts, so people go down easier. Whereas boxing, you can keep continuing and you won't see the damage until later.
And that's the crazy thing, is what ends up putting fighters at least in immediate serious danger in any combat sport is the repetitive head trauma, as opposed to the superficial damage that's caused by cutting, which we see a lot more of in bare knuckle because there's no gloves. And so there is still, I think, 10 professional boxers dying on average a year in commission fights up till at least the last time that I checked. And it's just crazy because a couple of these sports have only been around on a professional level for, not that long, at most 30 years. And so, as you transitioned from the traditional boxing world to bare knuckle boxing, and especially BYB has attracted a lot of people who, have been in MMA as well as boxing. What does it kind of change about the way that you have to prepare for fights, knowing that people are coming from different backgrounds that can maybe utilize some of these more crossover elements of the sport?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get ready for anything, because a lot of like these MMA guys or girls, they're gonna come in trying to clinch, put you in a headlock. There's a lot of dirty boxing in bare knuckle. So you got to be prepared for people, like they're gonna try to use their elbows or whatever, like so you can hit their elbow or something like that. Like you don't want to hit the top of their head too hard, you could break your hand. So you just kind of got to be more precise in your like ability to throw punches and like where you're landing it. Yeah, you can pretty much hurt your hands in the fight, so you got to be careful with that.
And how was it that you actually got to be with BYB as opposed to another organization?
So my coach AJ Easley, he was like already in like a good connection with BYB, and then they came up to me with an offer to go to Dubai and have a contract with them, and I like how they have the Trigon, and they're really like good people, and then I said, yeah, let's go. So it just happened that way. So
Okay.
and I'm glad.
So like with the more unusual arena that the fight actually takes place in, with so little space and it being triangular, is that something that your skill set as a boxer was already like well tuned to, or was that something that you had to make adjustments for?
To me, for me, it was just the only thing that was kind of more like different. Like the Trigon, yeah, it's different than a ring. It's a lot more smaller. I think I just like felt like at home in the Trigon. It didn't really feel any different than a ring. I could still move around even though it is really small, but you don't need to move that much. You just got to get away from the punches. But also like the only thing that was kind of weird was like how you start, like in this almost like toe to toe, like on the line instead of like in the corner. So that's the only thing that was kind of like weird for me that I had to like get adjusted to.
Okay. And another thing about bare knuckle boxing, and the two organizations that really dominate the bare knuckle scene, and BKFC and BYB, I would say, it's interesting because it seems like it's easier to make more of a name for yourself and promote yourself in bare knuckle as opposed to in boxing, where it's very easy to get lost in the fray. So what what have you noticed since you got into bare knuckle boxing and you found great success with it? Have you kind of noticed, any more, additional opportunities, coming your way, or has it grown your fan base like you would have thought?
Yeah, it has like grown my fan base a lot more. And now like let's say if I'm talking to someone and I tell them, yeah, I'm a boxer, and they're like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm also a bare knuckle fighter, and they're like, oh shit, what? that's crazy. Like, no way. Like, you're the real deal. Like, this and that. So I'm just like, it's always like a wow factor because of the bare knuckle. And like, not a lot of people, are going to go in there and do that, because it's kind of like a technical street fight, basically.
Um, and right now where you're at in BYB, what are because you got several options that can stem from that. You could stay with BYB for as long as you want, and then there's also got to be some other like there's always the possibility of you crossing over into MMA if that's something that you train in at all. Because of the crossover and some of those different aspects that are similar. But like, and you can also go and with a greater fan base, maybe go back into traditional boxing if the fight is right for you. So what do you think are potentially things that might be in your future a little bit further down the road?
Hold on. Let me take out my crystal ball. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, I don't know. I love to fight. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of fighting it is. If it's like MMA, I always wanted to do MMA too. If there's an opportunity, I would want to do that too. But for sure, I'm gonna go back to boxing. That's for sure, because I want to be a world champion in boxing as well. After I get this belt, and then also like maybe I'll do more bare knuckle too. It depends, and we'll see what the future holds and what opportunities come about. Like, I don't know. Like, we don't even know what would happen tomorrow, but yeah, I just want like more fights, and I want to keep fighting and staying active and just training, because that's what I love to do, and I just want to keep fighting whatever the fight that it is.
And so now you've had two bare knuckle fights with BYB. The first one was really like a super masterful performance to watch against Mariana Kamara, where the sound of your hook hitting her in the body repetitively it was just a really good fight to watch, where it looked like you really outmatched her, and you were landing with hard shots, and it just seemed like your opponent was frustrated, and she, credit to her, she was, returning as many shots as she could in her own right. But that was really a fantastic fight. And it just happened, just a year ago. So what was that first BYB experience like, being on kind of a bigger venue than you had been in before?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Thank you for the compliments. It was pretty crazy. Just um walking to the Trigon for the first time ever. It was obviously, like, I was pretty like nervous in the beginning. I was like, oh my god, I was freaking out. But then when I started to walk to the ring, I just like I had like so much confidence. I felt so good. Um it was interesting because it was just like, like when you hit, it hurts, and then you get hit, it hurts too. And I didn't know what was gonna happen, because all I had seen on her was her like knocking out a girl like with her backhand. Like, she had like a backhand knock. I was like, okay, good thing she can't do that in this fight, no backhand. But I knew she was gonna be strong, and it was just an amazing experience, like no other. I don't even know how to explain it, to be honest. It just felt good. Like, I bet she was super strong, because every time like I was hitting her with so many hard shots, like I still like don't know how to control like my power, and I was throwing like as if I have gloves on. And I remember like the next day my hands were swollen, and I couldn't even use my right hand for like a few days after that. But it was like an interesting fight, like how she just kept coming up, and some of the knockouts is just like I set it up like perfectly, but I don't even know, like I didn't even know what I was doing some half of the time, because like sometimes it's just like intuitive, and like I just kind of like flow with it. But yeah, it was a good experience.
And I think even I think Mike Goldberg might have even said that about the spinning back fist in the commentary. I think he might have even said like, well, their last knockout was by spinning back fist, so but you can't do that tonight. But again, credit to BYB for having a veteran commentator like that with so many years experience in combat sports. That's always a smart thing to do if you're
Yeah.
an organization looking to grow. Um, and then, most recently, you're just 5 months separated for the win over Jessica Link by unanimous decision. It was a phenomenal fight. A lot of people, were calling it a BYB fight of the year. Take us through that fight, because that was, that was the one that led up to this title fight that's coming up in April. And it seemed like even more so than the first fight in BYB. This one really elevated the status of your name on the fans of the sport.
Yeah, that fight was crazy. Like I remember like the first round, I was like, damn, like I didn't notice like her height until like I was in the trigon and I was just like, holy shit, like how do I hit her? And I was just like, oh, like I don't know. But then I just like I started to listen to my coach and I've kind of like figured it out. I was like, okay, you know, I gotta do this and that because like this isn't working or this is, you know, I knew I was gonna like I don't know. I knew I was gonna beat her, but I knew it was gonna be a hard fight because I know like Jessica Lynx has been in there with many like tough fighters, and she was like way bigger than me. She had like a reach advantage. She was a southpaw, and she was way taller basically, and it was like a hard fight, but I knew that I had to like dig deep and just come out because I wanted to win this, and I had to do that to get to this fight, the next title fight coming up. But yeah, it was really a hard fight, but yeah, I don't know if I'm like explaining it right, but yeah.
No, and like that's the thing about Jessica Link. Even though if you look at her professional record, she has done not a ton of winning. The thing is, she's been in there in all kinds of formats. She's been in boxing, kickboxing, bare knuckle boxing, bare knuckle MMA. So she's just a veteran of the sport that's very comfortable fighting without gloves, and that had to have been a difficult test.
And that was her first time fighting at 115. She's always fighting at like 135, 130, 125, the lowest. And that was honestly her best fight that I've seen her fight. Like that was her best performance. And that's the Jessica Link I got. Like all the other videos, like they didn't like I was like, oh wow, she's all right, she's whatever. But like and she brought it that day and I don't even I'm gonna give glory to God because like I couldn't have beat her on my own.
And so coming up in April at BYB 25 Brawl on the Bay, you are fighting for the title against Shelby Boom Boom Cannon.
Yeah.
Shelby is 33 years old. Shelby is originally from, she's fighting out of Anderson, Indiana. And the thing about Shelby that's interesting is, she's 2-0 as a bare knuckle boxer, but as an amateur, she was exclusively in MMA. And she picked up, I think, 4 wins and maybe, I think, 6 losses in that time, 5 or 6 losses. But she's been in some, solid MMA organizations. She in HR MMA, which is kind of an organization that I know is local to the Ohio, Kentucky area. And then B2 Fighting Series and Island Fights, both, strong organizations. She turns pro in June of 2023 in bare knuckle boxing, and she's rattled off 2 straight victories, both at the BYB level. So it's got to be a very interesting opponent to think about, in fighting for this championship coming up in April.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm expecting Shelby to come out with her best game, just like Jessica Link. I'm expecting her to come even better than she did like her last fight or the fight before. And that's good. That's the kind of fights we want. I want to be tested against the best so that if she's gonna bring it, then I'm gonna bring it, and then the best woman win, So
I mean, it's cool because it's going to be a 2 title fight card as well, and Rashad Coulter too, the heavyweight that's been in a lot of different major organizations. He's on the card, so folks, check out BYB 25 Brawl in the Bay coming up April 4th because there's 2 title fights, and the roster of this organization just keeps expanding and growing. But now we've talked about what was in the past and what's coming up. Now, like, I just want a little bit of combat sports conversation in general. Who are some of your favorite fighters right now, regardless of what combat sport they're in?
my favorite fighters, like in all time, or just like right now, or like
Either.
what?
Who's the strongest that come to mind?
Okay. Well, Sugar Ray, Mayweather, Mike Tyson, Hagler. There's so many. Rose Namajunas. Yeah, there's so many. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of Crawford, Tank. I don't know. There's just so many. I can't have favorites. I mean, I kind of do, but they're probably the ones that I look at most.
Yeah, it's just crazy because now, obviously, never like a time before have, the best female boxers in the world been so prominently staged.
Oh, I forgot one of my female Sunisa Estrada. She's one of my favorite fighters as well. Yeah, and
That-
she has a fight coming up too this week, and she's gonna be undisputed probably. I mean, not probably, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, so folks, this has been a conversation with Agnesa Spitfire Kirakosian. You can follow her on Instagram at Spitfire_rising. I don't know if she's on Twitter. This was the one that was connected to Tapology. But she is fighting for the title in BYB 25 coming up on April 4th. Check it out. Check out the other, videos out there on the internet of her fighting. It is fun to watch. And Agnesa, thank you so much for being here today. If you want to shout anybody out, if you have anything else you want to say right now, the floor is yours.
Okay, it's also it's not Spitfire Rising. That one got hacked. It's Spitfire_Nessa.
Okay.
Just follow that account. Just a shout out to BYB team. Shout out to all my coaches, everybody that's helping me, everybody that believes in me, all the fans. Thank you guys for everything. Tune in. It's gonna be an awesome fight. It's gonna be a lot of fireworks. April 4th. Yeah, like we're gonna bring it. So
Thank you so much for being here. This was a super fun conversation. And folks, hopefully this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship between me and BYB Extreme Fight Series, because we got a couple other fighters from BYB coming up on the slate. But thank you so much for listening. Again, check out Agnesa Kirakosian fighting April 4th, BYB 25 for the title against Shelby Cannon. Thanks for listening, folks. Have yourselves a great week and peace.